So the students were 21st century, the teachers were 20th century, and the classroom layout is 19th centuries actually.
We will start the session with Pa Anis. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be asking you a few questions one at a time to guide our discussion. The first question would be, Indonesia is projected to become the world's 4th largest economy by 2045 and the largest in ASEAN. With that in mind, what do you think is outdated in our education system, and what kind of reform do we need to prepare in the next generation?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the organizer, Pak Dino, and all the committee for organizing such a great conference of the people of ASEAN. Let's give a round of applause to Pak Dino and friends. Let me go directly to the questions. ASEAN educations. If I may touch a little bit on this issue. Before ASEAN was formed in 1967, it was initially meetings of Minister of Education that started all of this. It was in 1965, and I think next November we'll commemorate the 60 years of Sea Moy, the Southeast Asia Minister of Education. And it was the collaborations of Ministry of Education, Minister of Educations, and collaboration of educations that lead into ASEAN. And I hope that collaboration continue and strengthening the people of ASEAN collaborations. Now, with your questions, I think there's a phenomenon today that we're facing that we have children of 21st century. However, our school system is still operating in the 20th century mindset. So the students were 21st century, the teachers were 20th century, and the classroom layout is 19th centuries actually. So 3 centuries differences in our schools. So if we are talking about that, what is outdated, I would say that the root cause is that our system today is still designed for industrial age education system. Mass instructions, memorizations, conformity, and it is not yet designed for today's digital network and fast-changing age. So that's issue number 1. And then there is a hidden inequality. The inequality is not only about inequality in terms of access to teachers, or access to facilities, or access to schools, but inequality of imagination. This is even more challenging. Children in the cities are exposed to possibilities that is so large. They're exposed to role models, new technologies, and vast opportunities. On the other hand, children in the rural areas or in the poor areas, they may never meet people who went to universities. They may never meet people who work in an emerging industry. So, and without imaginations of what is possible, talent is wasted before it has even had a chance to grow. So the reform that is needed to address this outdated problems in our education system is not only to reform about skills gap, but also about dreams gap. I often talk to our teachers that when you speak to your students and ask them about what do you want to do in the future, what do you want to be in the future, whatever is in their dream is a function of their knowledge. If students don't even know what is a pilot, there is no way they can dream of becoming a pilot. So dreams is a function of knowledge. And it is extremely important today to, one, reform our school system from the 20th century mindset into 21st century mindset, and then address not only skill gaps, but also imagination gap. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Panis. That's a very powerful perspective on how we should reform not only our school system, but also address our imagination gap. Moving on to the next question. As the job market changes so fast, Pa, especially with technology, automation, and new industries, how can governments and stakeholders ensure that education truly matches today's job demands?
Yes, indeed. Jobs market are transforming. We have been seeing that AI, automatizations, gig economy already changing how people earn a living. So many routine jobs will disappear. We have seen that. On the other hand, creativity, collaborations, and adaptability matter even more. However, if I may respond to that, we should never see education simply as means to prepare young people to be an employee or for the job market. Education is not simply work preparations. We must prepare our students, our young people, to be citizens, to be a complete individuals that are able to think critically, engage in a democracy, solve community problems. And there are a few areas that must be focused on that. Number one is on digital literacy. Ability to use technology wisely is important, not simply ability to operate technology. And ability to produce content is much more important than our technical skills in consuming materials in the digital device. Number two is problem solving. Ability to solve problems, learning how to find solutions to new challenges is even more critical today than it used to be. And therefore, our school system must prepare that. And the third component, which is not less important, is empathy and collaborations. We are now living in the world where collaborations is one of a key ingredient for success for all, not only for individual success. Therefore, we have been seeing that education in the aspect of empathy and collaborations has produced students with ability to work across cultures, across disciplines, and not only succeeding individually. And we're talking about ASEAN. I think we need to move a little bit further on regional mobility for learning. If I may share here, we need exchanges not only of university students, but also movement of teachers, young volunteers, curriculum experiments across nations in ASEAN, across countries in ASEAN. So I'll give you an example. A math teacher from Vietnam, for example, teaching in rural Indonesia for a year. A youth volunteer from Cambodia, perhaps helping digital literacy in Malaysia. Those mobility help not only in terms of skills, but also in terms of children growing up together, seeing themselves as part of ASEAN community. So with that, I hope we will be able to make education more relevant and even more relevant to the future of ASEAN community. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answer, Pa Anis. That connects so well to the theme of relevance, that education should not only inform us, but also prepare us for the future. And the last question for Pa Anis. As technology advances rapidly, how can we make sure that those who are currently left behind, especially in rural or undeserved areas, can catch up?
The biggest challenge is not about advanced technology in rich schools, but how to include those who are left behind already. If we are talking about equal opportunity, that assumes there is already equal preparedness. So what we need today is we must make sure that all students, be it in the rural or in the urban area, have equal opportunity to access technology. And that is key. And in our own experience, we work with young Indonesians who are willing to be a teacher through Indonesia Mengajar project. These are best university graduates that serve a year as teachers of elementary school in a remote area. We have been seeing that citizens can mobilize to reach remote schools, bridge infrastructure gaps, bring hope to children in isolated villages, only if civil society and government work together. So the key is for government not to monopolize the work in addressing inequality in education. Invite civil society, invite community activists to be part of the effort, because often they are the ones who are able to reach all the way to the most remote communities in our society. Now, when we talk about digital divide, let's also enlarge our conversation that we need not only to talk about digital divide, but also learning divide. Some children are already far behind, and unless we act differently, they will never catch up with whatever technology is provided. So, what are the solutions? There are three potential solutions I would offer here. One is high dosage tutoring. That is intensive, regular, small group tutoring 3 to 5 times a week. This is proven to accelerate learning, especially for children who are several grade levels behind. But, and this is not one-time remedial, but sustained support. 2 is community learning pods. Local groups of 8 to 12 children, guided by trained facilitator or volunteers, learning together outside formal school hours. And then this has been proven to be useful when schools were lack of teachers or when digital access is weak or unavailable. And the third possible solutions is peer-to-peer mentoring. Older students helping younger students in a structured lessons. This has been practiced in many remote areas, and it's proven to build confidence in both the mentors and also the learners. So those are 3 possible solutions. But the principle is this: education is an ecosystem. It is not only government, but also communities, NGOs, private sectors, local leaders, all must collaborate. And inclusion is not a side issue. It is the core of reform. If we fail the weakest, the whole system fails. So building an ecosystem is a must, and we must always address problems from the lens of ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Anies, for setting the stage with those insights from policy to grassroots innovations. And now we're going to hear from our discussants, representatives of civil society organizations who will each have about 2 minutes to share a reflection or a question.
Nice to meet everyone, and also the people of Indonesia. I'm from Higher Education Youth Association, HEYA, you can Google it. So just to reflect on our panelists' key discussion points, I think I like the ecosystem and collective approach as mentioned by our first panelist, and also the free education mentioned by our second panelist. And representing Malaysia, Mr. Isaiah, idol of mine. Yeah, we need to pay our teachers more. And from our fourth panelist about school leaders, yeah, is super important for the community. However, I think from a perspective of a 24-year-old, a youth with lived experience in the Malaysian education system, I believe that the only way to upgrade and reform our education system is by the smartest people, not only becoming teachers, but also joining politics and becoming the key decision makers to actually put the reform into the system. Because I've seen for years that the smartest people are not inside the room making the decision. Most of the time, all of us are having these conferences, these summits, but I mean, we all know what's the solution to the problem, but are we in the room making the decision? Yeah. So that's my message to the youth of Indonesia. If you're the brightest, if you are the smartest, don't only join corporate, don't only join civil societies like me, but please join politics. And if you're really passionate to change your country's education system, enter the room and make the decision yourself. Thank you.
Moving on to our next discussant, Mr. Rafsi.
Thank you very much. So first of all, thank you AFPC and FPCI for organizing this very momentous talk with regards to education. Of course, at a time when it is very important for us to address these complex issues as an ecosystem. And I think just to reflect on Pak Anis's point, us at the Indonesian Institute for Education Reform, we really focus on enabling ecosystems. We focus on four stakeholders: funders, policymakers, education institutions, and communities. So I really resonate what you just said with regards to ecosystem, and especially coming personally also from a law background, your statement with regards to the ability to dream. When we say the right to education, I think it's important to also acknowledge the right to dream as part of realizing the right to education. Now, there are some reflections that I think are important to make, and I think this plays into the idea of ecosystem, because everything that the panelists have mentioned today really reflect this idea of connectivity in terms of the ideas that are brought up. For example, Mr. Isaiah, you put out the point with regards to how we can make sure that the status of teachers are elevated in the society. And also at the same time, Mr. Q, you mentioned about the importance of making sure that there's good leadership and that schools are accessible for everyone. Now, with this being said, I'd like to raise two questions, actually, if it's okay. So, from your experiences, Pak Anis with Indonesia Mengajar and Mr. Isaiah with Pemimpin, what do you think are the hindrances to scale up very great initiatives that we can see at the grassroots level? Because of course we see that there are many interesting ideas that we can explore, and especially these are done by people at the grassroots across regions, in Indonesia for example. But there are hindrances. There must be hindrances that we have to identify, because many of these great ideas do not find their way at national scale. So that's my first question. And the second question, I think this pertains to this first one as well. This is a bit anecdotal, but I want you to reflect on this. If there's one thing you can change tomorrow, if you had the power to change one thing tomorrow about education, be it a policy, be it a mindset, or a module or approach to education, what would that thing be so that we can steamroll this virtuous cycle for change? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rafsi, for your questions. Moving on to our next discussant, Mr. John Carlo.
Good afternoon, Mabuhay from the Philippines. I am John Carlo Ramos from the ASEAN Teacher Education Network. And probably I'll just give my insights, but because my ideas resonate well with our speakers. Number one, there's a famous saying, and we've been reading this a lot in many education reports, that No society can rise above the quality of its teachers. And teachers are key players in education. So the quality of the society we have, lies on the quality of our teachers. So the central question is, how do we support our teachers so they can teach better? Because if we don't have competent teachers, then we will be expecting more learning crisis and learning gaps. Another one is that, teachers should be part of the decision-making process in education. Our education systems are failing not because we have incompetent teachers, but we had normalized education decisions driven not by data but by politics. So that's one of the problems. And then we should look at teacher well-being. Teachers mostly, it's not becoming an attractive job because most of the teachers are overworked and underpaid. And then the curriculum should, I think it was mentioned that the curriculum should help our learners become job ready, but we also have to teach or to develop or to reform our curriculum to focus as well on humanity and ethics, not just being job ready. Because let us be reminded that even the crooked leaders are products of our education system. So let us take note of that. And then last, we have to capacitate our teachers. As I see in a lot of instances in the rise of AI in education, it's not the students who are afraid of AI, it's the teachers who are afraid of AI because they are not well equipped to handle those fast-changing developments in education. And lastly, let us not forget, Happy World Teachers Day, everyone, for all teachers here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. Does any of the speaker panelists would like
Chelsea,
to add?
if I may respond to this great discussions that we have heard. Number one, Brian, I agree with what you said earlier. We need the smart people, not only in business, not only in the civil society, but also in politics. We need to have smart people in politics. And if I may add to that, on top of being smart, is people of integrity, person of integrity. If you combine the two, integrity and intellectual, you will have powerful politicians in your system. That's clear. And then number two, with regard to what are the hindrances of good idea, I agree what you said earlier. If I may add to that, we in government often think that with authority come knowledge. And actually it doesn't work that way. You may have authority, but you may not have the knowledge, right? So that mindset needs to be there. And government need to reach out to communities, especially those who are practicing educations. So who are they? School teachers. That's number one. Number two, school principals. So those are key. I think if the mindset is shifted from being regulator, from being service providers in educations, into collaborator of educations. And then you're seeing others as partners for education. So it's not, when you're seeing parents, you don't see them simply as customer of educations, but you should see them as partner in educating our children. So that mindset needs to be shifted. And then number two, given diversity of our society, especially in Indonesia, we often need not to make everything symmetric across Indonesia. Allow diversity in our policy. Those living in the highland, those living in the rural area, those living in the coastal area, they may have different sociological setting that policies of education in those areas need to be tailored to the need. including schedules of the school year. Our school system, the schedule is adjusted nationally, and often it doesn't work and doesn't sync with the local needs. So let's allow rooms, Rafsi, for diversity of contents, diversity of policy across Indonesia. Now, we all mentioned about teachers and the importance of teachers. If I may ask the audience on the issue of teachers and 21st century and technology. There's one simple question. Can teacher be replaced by technology? Raise your hand if you say no, if I may see. Can teachers be replaced by technology? No? All right, thank you. Those who think teachers were replaceable by technology, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, thank you. Perhaps my questions were phrased in the wrong setting. If I rephrase the questions, what kind of teachers is replaceable by technology? What kind of teachers that can never be replaced by technology? You will see the answer clearly, right? So there are teachers who are replaceable by technology. So what matters is not about the technology, but about the teachers. If we improve the quality of the teachers, no longer mechanistic, no longer just recycling materials, then we will find our teachers irreplaceable by technology. Okay? But if teachers were repeating materials, mechanistic, it's so replaceable by technology. So we need to improve the quality of our teachers so that they will be able to use technology and teach better students, be better teachers. And if I may add to that, it is way much more important, besides improving the quality of our teachers, is improving the quality of our school principal, because leadership matters. If the leaders of our schools were able to manage their school in a way like a business sector is doing, then we will be able to see excellent schools. So if I may suggest, for business sectors, to form collaborations with schools and improve managerial skills, leadership skills of our school principals, so we will be able to improve the quality of our teaching in the school and improve the quality of our education through the leadership of their principal. Let me end it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Anies, for sharing your insights. I would like to invite our panelists now to briefly respond and to share a final reflection or a closing statement before wrapping up this session. Maybe starting from Pak Anies. Yep.
Closing statements here. All right, you know, the questions that was raised to me earlier is about what is outdated from our school system. I think we need to reimagine education for the age we live in. And if I may, one more time to give questions to our audience. You may use your cell phone, because I would like to ask questions, and please answer my questions. I have two questions. First questions. Please answer privately and don't look to your next person. Be honest. Jangan mencontek. No cheating. 8 by 7 equals. Please write your answer. My question is number 1. Question number 2, or assignment number 2, can you write 2 lines that rhymes? 2 lines that rhymes. Tuliskan 2 kalimat berpantun. Can I have a volunteer to answer question number 1? Is there anyone whose answer is not 56? Raise your hand. It's not 56. Okay, so our education system works well. All answer is 56. Second questions. Can I have volunteers to read your lines? 2 lines that rhymes. Can we have volunteers? Raise your hand. Yes, please come in. Can the committee lend him a microphone? Two lines that rhymes.
Thank you, Mr. Anies Baswedan, for the question. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mirumia Fatara Blavatsky. I'm from South Jakarta, Sulawesi. And then my line is Indonesian. 2 lines is pergi ke sekolah menuntut ilmu, masa depan cerah takkan kelabu. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Nice. Your nickname, please?
Sorry, sir?
Panggilannya, nickname?
Miru, sir. Miru.
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 Oke. Bisa diulang sekali lagi pelan-pelan kalimatnya? Repeat your lines slowly.
Pergi ke sekolah menuntut ilmu, masa depan cerah takkan kelabu.
Terima kasih. Kasih tepuk tangan buatmu. Can I have one more volunteers? A lady, if I may. Equal opportunity. Yes.
Hello, test.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Myra Siragar. I go to the University of Al-Azhar, Indonesia, for the
rhymes,
two
yeah.
rhymings. I actually wrote this last week. It's not about Indonesia, sadly, but it's for those yang mungkin bercinta atau ada pacar. Roses are red, violets are blue. Somewhere in my heart lies a flower bed. I have a bouquet for someone like you. Perhaps that could be you, Pak Anies.
Unfortunately, it was written last week, so anyway. With these 2 questions, is there anyone whose pantun, whose line, is exactly the same as the 2 that was read? None. Right? Look, the first questions, everyone has the same answer. The second questions, no one has the same answer. The future of education is determined by the second questions and our ability to educate our children to answer second type questions. That's for the future. So, what is outdated in our education system, we've been teaching our children with the first type of questions, memorizations and everything. And we need to shift that. So if I may conclude as a closing remark, it is very important for us to start shifting into 21st century approach in education. And that education must not simply prepare people for jobs, and therefore do not use the word a human resource development plan, but it's human capital, human development. That's what needed. And then the third aspect is inclusion. It is extremely important to address inclusion in our system, and it is critical that all children across region, urban, rural, have equal access to 1, schools, 2, teachers, and both were quality schools, quality teachers. So, as a final call, ASEAN has a chance now to redefine educations as more than just a ladder for individual success, but education must be a foundation for a just, inclusive, and future-ready ASEAN community. And I think if we dare to rethink boldly, education can be Southeast Asia's greatest contributions to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Anies Baswedan, for sharing your insights.